Hello, everyone. Pleasure to be with you today. My name is Blake Poland. I'm in the Dalla School of Public Health at the University of Toronto. And today I'll be talking to you about the living tiny and movements to smaller living spaces as part of a sustainability transition. I've been interested in social movements as agents of change for quite some time, and particularly movements that have been variously termed prefigurative, which is to say that they're working on making desired future changes actionable and real in the present moment. So kind of walking the talk kind of thing. And a lot of that's been around the transition town movement, but also I've had a keen interest in the tiny living movement and have tried my hand in it, first in a tiny house for a year or so, and then more recently in van life. And I've been quite intrigued by these as movements to redefine what home means and redefine it both in terms of reduced ecological footprint for less water and power consumption, for example, and not buying as many things that we typically buy to fill larger homes, but also financial freedom and the freedom to move one's home as employment or other circumstances dictate. And this is a movement that has moved from the fringes as a DIY space where people were building their own homes using repurposed materials to now much more glitzy tiny homes that can often well exceed $100,000. Somewhat ironically, because although they're legal to own, they're not actually legal to live in most parts of North America, and they cannot be financed, and they're often excluded from RV parks. And we also have the van life movement, which has become a bit of an Instagram sensation and has been widely critiqued for being largely white, young, middle-class digital nomads in swanky curated spaces and lifestyles with buff bodies and epic scenery, and characterized by blogs and ebooks and other things where advice is being offered about how to do van conversions, stealth camping, etc. And more recently, a counter trend seeking to expose the reality of van life that is claimed to be quite different from the Instagram sensation. And perhaps no better epitomized than in the award-winning book and subsequent documentary called Nomadland, which portrays the grittier side of van life as a vehicle dwelling pushed onto people by a series of economic circumstances, including recession, house repossession, soaring rents, employment precarity, as kind of the other side of vehicle dwelling, and leading to a large mobile retiree temp workforce that swells the ranks of Amazon warehouse workers during the Christmas season and campground management in the summertime, and so kind of seasonally following the availability of jobs, and so really raises some interesting questions about what is the actual impact of these movements and what does the mainstreaming of these do over time to the possibilities for transformative change. And what we find is that although mainstreaming co-ops social movement innovation and dulls the initial critique, the radical edge that it came with, I think it's fair to say that the field of possibility is nevertheless expanded, and the critique is never fully subsumed by the old logics, which are themselves often nudged in interesting directions. So it's not a definitive sense of how this plays out, but the movement to tiny living is just one of hundreds, if not thousands, of social movements that are working in the direction of sustainability and planetary health. And so I think taken together, they offer some very interesting prospects for what these spaces look like, and in particular, the role of social movements as agents of change. Thank you very much for your time today.